Bring up our speaker, best-selling author, and formerly tight-tongue engineer, Debra Fine, everybody. Come on.
Thank you. I don't say woohoo. That's just, sorry, Brian. That's just, anybody else here an engineer besides? Oh, look, there's other dorks in the room. Hooray, hooray. So there's at least two other people. Do you say woohoo? I don't say woohoo. If I had wanted to chat with people, I would have not chosen engineering as, my career. But that was where I got this epiphany that just because you didn't know how to do it, go through a coffee break, get through an association event, go to a networking occasion, I used to think, well, if you weren't born with that gift of gab, then you just couldn't do it. So I was an engineer. I was great at math. That was one reason I started a business talking about something as silly as small talk. What a waste of saliva. Who would want to learn how to do that? The second epiphany I had to start a business talking about this kind of topic is that in 1988, and I realize many of you were not here yet, but you'll understand the reference. In '88, Oprah and I, that year, we both lost 65 pounds. Now, Oprah has had to do this again, but I've since lost more. When you're like that in this world, over 300 pounds, you are excluded from everything. The girls did not invite me to their birthday parties. Nobody asked me out for a date till I got out of college. So my best friends were books. Books came easily. Walking up to someone, attempting to engage them in conversation, sitting at a table of 8 were completely out of the realm of possibilities for me. I used to think it was just dorky, really overweight people standing over in the corner by themselves with their cup of coffee or their cocktail, watching all of you people mingle, become influencers, behave like leaders. So I spent a year's worth of time on research, everything, icebreakers. What do you say to engage someone in conversation? How do you get through one of those awkward moments where there's 8 of us sitting at a table getting ready for lunch? We all introduce ourselves, say our name, say what we do, and then we bow our heads and start to play with our food. Or now that we carry our little devices everywhere, we have our crackberries to depend on, so we don't have to talk to people we don't know. I researched conversation killers to avoid. I researched listening skills that help develop rapport, body language. I even researched exit lines so that never again, in order to get away from me, do you pull one of these numbers. Debra, gotta go, gotta call the babysitter. Out you fly. 5 minutes later, I find out your kids are grown and in college. There's ways to get away from people so that you don't lie to them, but ways to get away from people so they can't hold us hostage for one more moment than we are willing to be held hostage for. We're going to cover a couple of these tips now while we're here together, because especially at the Thanksgiving table, holiday parties that you're all faced with. But mostly my work is about networking and becoming a leader. For whatever it's worth, there's a handout that all audiences receive. This is just an example. It's out there for you to take away. It's got a list of some icebreakers and exit lines on it too, so you can have your little cheat sheet over the weekend if you need it. So let's talk about being a great conversationalist or a great networker. I'm going to start with this gentleman here. Rick, nice to meet you, sir. Rick, what do you do?
I run a trade association.
And Rick, where are you from? Are you from this area, the Kansas City area, or from somewhere else?
I'm from somewhere else.
You are? Okay. What? There's a lot of other places. But what you've witnessed here is an FBI agent conversation. Did you see what I did? Rick, what do you do? He said, he's the president of a trade association. I went right to where he's from. Don't do that. It's like a batting cage, one after the other. Instead, we want to slow this conversation down. And don't do one of these. Brian, are you married? What if he says no? That's the end of that conversation. Do you have any kids? No. Well, that's the end of that conversation. Do you know my favorite way to get to know people? Because the goal is to build a business relationship. All things being equal, people do business with their friends. All things not being so equal, people still do business with their friends. So how am I going to build this business friendship with you, but not ask what I consider to be questions that are over the border? Are you married? Do you have any kids? You know what my favorite way is to engage someone in a personal conversation? When we're hopefully putting a picture frame of this small talk around the business conversation, you provide a service, you negotiate a contract, you're a presenter, you're conducting an interview. But if you put a picture frame of small talk around that, you will build that business friendship. My favorite go-to question and you can find your own words for it, I'll give you a couple of ideas, is this. I'll go back to you, Rick. We know you're the president of a trade association, right? What keeps you busy outside of your work, Rick?
Hiking.
So we'd go from there. Did I ask him anything too personal? Now, I might ask this in another way. Kendra, what do you do for fun?
I have an infant, so that's what I do for fun.
And I hope that's fun, Kendra. But we'd find out about how old the infant is. Where's his favorite places to hike? Where has he always wanted to hike that he hasn't hiked, Rick? Kendra, how has having a child in your life been different than what your expectations would have laid out there originally? Don't worry, you don't have to answer. We don't have time for small talk, Kendra. Okay, so that's my favorite way to get to know people. Another tip, here's this. When I walk in the house tonight, what's my husband going to say to me? How was your day, right? Where's dinner? No, hopefully not. But do you think he means that? Without knowing him, do you think he means, how was your day? Okay, long marriage, okay, and there's sports on TV. Is there not sports on TV? I'm sure there is, right? Whatever. I mean, I know where I am today, by the way. I mean, I live in Denver, but I saw what happened with, that's even more painful than what Kansas City did yesterday. But nonetheless, it brought us joy. Right, I just want to throw that out there. Okay. When my husband says, how was your day? What he means is hello. That's what he means. Because in North America, when we say, how was your day? How's the project? How's work? What's new? We mean hello. It's all it means. So when you have the time and the interest, you're sitting at a board meeting. You're waiting for the board meeting to begin. You know you've got 3 or 4 minutes. You say to the person to your right, how's the project? They say, pretty good. I'm going to suggest to you that you dig in deeper with one more question to let them know you meant it. So what's been the greatest challenge of the project? Or, what have you been working on the last few days when it comes to the project? You've let them know you really mean it. If my husband says, Debra, how was your day? I'll say, pretty good. If he then says to me, well, tell me what was on your plate today, or tell me about the showcase today, then I know my husband at least wants to spend 2 or 3 minutes having a real conversation with me. So dig in deeper. Let's try this all together, okay? Don't worry, you don't have to get out of your seats like Brian. That was exhausting, Brian. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question out loud. I'm going to ask you to respond out loud, okay, as if you and I were talking one-on-one. I'm going to ask a question, then when I ask you to respond, I'm just going to go like this. Give me your response as if you and I were talking one-on-one. Here's the first question. How's your day? How's your day? How's the showcase? What's been going on? Very good. Did we rehearse that? Except you're all liars, because when I said what's been going on, what did you all say? Oh, almost to a T. Nothing or not much. Is that true, by the way? I doubt that. Look what you're missing. Most of you aren't even on your devices. Do you know how far behind you are right now? And it's only like 9:15? But, it's automatic now. We just give one-word answers. Rhetorical questions, one-word answers. We're not connecting, okay? So I'm going to suggest you consider this. By the way, do you know why people say nothing or not much? Because there's so much going on, they cannot think of what it is that fast. Okay, so when you want to connect with someone, because it's the senior vice president, because it's someone in the legislature, because it's somebody that's a member of your association, and you actually have 3 to 5 minutes to have a real conversation with someone, be prepared to play the conversation game. The conversation game is this. Somebody says to you, how was the showcase? You actually say, well, I walked away with quite a few takeaways. Somebody says to you, how was your Thanksgiving? They work for you. They don't know what else to talk to you about. They say, how was your Thanksgiving? Instead of saying great, you say, it was wonderful. My favorite dish all year is pumpkin pie. My mother makes it, and she brought it this year. It was great. That is playing the conversation game. Watch this. At the end of our day together, Kendra, friendly Kendra, as we're walking out, says to me, isn't it a beautiful day? Now, she could also say, beautiful day. Question mark or statement? Okay, if I'm in a hurry, Kendra, because I have to catch a plane, because I'm going back home, and I haven't even shopped for my groceries for Thanksgiving, so I am moving at a pace. When you say beautiful day, I'll say it sure is. I'll smile, and I'll keep walking. I'm not going to play the conversation game. Don't have time, don't have the interest. On the other hand, I have plenty of time. I do have a plane out tonight, but I have an extra 20 minutes. I certainly have an extra 3 minutes to have a real conversation. And every conversation is an opportunity for success. So when Kendra says to me, beautiful day, do you know what I'll say to you, Kendra? If I have the time and the interest in connecting, I'll say, I got to tell you, Kendra, I grew up in Buffalo, New York. I did. I went to the University of Buffalo for my engineering degrees. And every day, Kendra, outside of Buffalo, is a beautiful, beautiful day. Now, Kendra might say, that's nice, and run to her car. She's got an infant. She's waiting for the babysitter. She's got to go. On the other hand, if she has time, I've given her something to talk about with me. If she wants to talk to me, now you know I'm from Buffalo. You can say, is it really as bad as they say it is there, Debra? Debra, what do they do there in the winter? Debra, what's it like having a Super Bowl loser year after year after year? There's so much to talk about. So imagine this. I sit on a board with you. I say, how's your year been? How's it going? What's new? Could you please give me a sentence in response so you and I have something to talk about so we can connect? And if I choose not to go there, whatever you've offered, that's fine. We'll drop it. Did you notice when she said to me, Kendra, beautiful day, I did not talk about my aches and pains. I did not brag about my children. I didn't do anything like that. I just offered something about myself that was concrete that she was able to talk about with me if she so chose. The hardest part about networking for most people is taking the risk of walking up to somebody new and engaging them in conversation. And it is a risk, because you might reject me, sir. You might reject me, ma'am. But what's riskier? Remind yourself of this. I-35, 235, in either direction. 69, I direct 69 south or north in either direction. What's riskier, that or walking up to somebody new and taking a risk? What I suggest to my audiences is this. And this is the engineering, but this applies to all of you in this audience. We're all great at tasks, all of us. Turn it into a task. I tell myself, you'll meet 2 new people today. You'll meet 4 new people, 1 new person. I get to pick the number, and then guess what? After I've met the 2 new people, I can drink. Or I can go home. I can go sit in the lobby, hang out until it's time to sit down for dinner at a table of 8 where I've been assigned. Turn it into a task. My time is up. Before I close, I would like to offer a poem. In the spirit of anybody here that's a member of an organization, whether you represent a trade association, where of course it is members, and or you are a member of an organization and or a religious institution or a sorority or a civic organization, you'll all be able to identify with this. You'll be getting my prize, some of my books here will be given away, and the poem is in the first book, The Fine Art of Small Talk. It's entitled, Thoughts from a New Member. I see you at the meetings, but you never say hello. You're busy all the time you're there with those you really know. I sit amongst the members, yet I'm a lonely gal. The new ones feel as strange as I. The old ones pass us by. Darn it, you folks urged us to join. You talked of fellowship. You could just cross the room, you know, but you never make the trip. Can't you just nod your head and smile, stop and shake a hand, then go sit amongst your friends? Now that I'd understand. I'll be at your next meeting, and I hope that you will spend the time to introduce yourself. I join to be your friend. It's up to each and every one of us, I include myself, to take the risk of walking up to someone new. And number 2, the most important part of what I hope to convey is, it is up to me to assume the burden of your comfort when I'm at a table of 8, when we're walking down a hall, when we're at a meeting. If you're shy and or introverted, I'm an introvert who does not behave in a shy manner, at least on stage, then it is up to me to make you feel comfortable instead of counting on you to make me feel comfortable wherever I am during any interaction. Thank you all for your time and attention today.